Okay, so that was the very short introduction video. So in the video, it really shows what SCAPE Entrepreneurship and Career Studio cluster, what we do. Yeah, so on our end, we do host a lot of different programs that is actually catered to aspiring entrepreneurs or even startups that have just started up. So through our programs, we hope to sort of like motivate or even help to elevate their businesses as well. So today we have Felix from Skillio. He will be conducting a masterclass relating to soft skills. So I shall hand the time over to him, and let's have him, and maybe Felix, you can start off with an introduction, and then yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me on a Friday evening. I know it's a tough time to get everybody at this timing, especially on a Friday evening. Yeah, I'm Felix. I'm actually the co-founder and CEO of Skillio. Basically, Skillio, we are building a digital portfolio for basically youth to showcase soft skills. So things like leadership, teamwork, communication, because we believe that these are skills that that will be very important in the future of work. And a lot of the big workplaces are actually looking for such skill sets, and which is why we started to build a portfolio for young people to basically be able to showcase these skill sets when they come to applying for any job, internship, or even like university admissions as well. That's a bit about me. I know we have a very small room here today, so I just wanted to keep this cozy and and also something that we can all come and share and things like that. So if you're comfortable to turn on a camera, do turn on. If not, I would like to just run a short poll with everybody here. You can use the reaction button in your Zoom. How many of you are still like studying? If you are still studying, right, can you maybe put a thumbs up, on your Zoom so I can roughly see the crowd here.
Sorry, Felix. I have to cut in for a bit. I think your mic is a bit choppy, so if you could do some adjustment.
Is this better?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. I see there are 3 thumbs up. So how many of you are like working already? So you are already in the workplace. If you're in the workplace, maybe you can put a heart shape. Oh, okay, great. I see. Okay, cool. Okay, how many of you, for those that are working already, you just started working, so between 1 to 5 years, right? If you have 1 to 5 years, can you put like a thumbs up? Okay, so for the rest of you, I'm assuming that you guys are more than 5 years, so probably already in the workplace for some time. Okay, interesting. All right, so yeah, so today what I'm just going to be sharing with all of you is a little bit more about soft skills and why it is very important in the future of work. And I think, I'm just sharing a bit from my own perspective and my own experience. And what we're going to do is also to get you to do some hands-on building of a soft skills portfolio for yourself, right? And we will round off the session with some Q&A, from everybody here if there's any questions that you would like to address. Okay, let me share my screen. Awesome, great. Right. Okay, if you can see my screen, maybe you can give me a good thumbs up reaction. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Alice. Thanks, Charles. Wow, everyone, thank you. All right. So yeah, without further ado, let us get into the session, right? So I'm Felix. Once again, I'm the founder and CEO of Skillio, and for me, I've been in the education space for almost close to 8 years. So I work with a lot of students, youth as well, to look at developing themselves in the different areas of soft skills. I also sort of coach entrepreneurship and startup founders. They are younger and more junior. They are still studying, right? So that's a little bit about my passion. Right. I think today I'm here to tell you why soft skills are important in the future of work. Right. One of the things that we are starting to see, right, especially in the workplace, for those that have just entered the workplace, especially during the COVID times, right, this is something that can be very it's a nerve-wracking period. And for those who are already in the workplace for more than 5 years, right? You probably have started to see the shift in terms of the workplace, in terms of the kind of like remote working, in terms of how things are being automated, and the kind of skill sets that you require are starting to shift, right? For those that are still studying, the workplace that you're going to graduate into will also be slightly different. Why? Right? There's a lot of research out there that says that, by 2030, right, 60% of jobs will be soft skills intensive, right? Why so? Right? Because a lot of times what we realize is that a lot of jobs that require a lot of hard and technical skills, so maybe things like, like manual repetitive tasks, right? These are things that can be automated with algorithms, they can be automated with robots, and a lot of times humans that just have hard skills will find themselves becoming obsolete or replaced by machines, right? We are starting to see some of this happening, right? Whether is it maybe cashiers being sort of replaced with self-service machine, and maybe like even like now we're looking at driverless driverless vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and there are also studies that say how even professional services, right, like things like accounting, things like law, right, can also have automation coming in to guide certain aspects of those industries, right? And in that case, a lot of people who are in these industries will start to realize that their skill sets starts to become obsolete. And not just so for those that are just studying, right? Still studying and going into the workplace, or you're looking to do a mid-career transition and things like that. A lot of the HR managers, this is according to LinkedIn Talent Trend in 2019, right? 92% of HR managers says that soft skills matter as much or even more than hard skills, right? When it comes down to actually hiring for a new candidate, right? And it costs a company almost like a 5-digit figure to actually fire somebody who they actually hired wrongly because of poor soft skills, right? So that's why soft skills are starting to become a very important tool and a very important kind of skill sets that a lot of hiring managers look out for when they're actually looking for new talent and new candidate to join the company. Right. So I think for those that are here, so some of you are maybe interested to start your own company. Some of you are maybe looking to still discover what career or pathways or jobs that you're actually interested in, right? But one thing is for sure is that soft skills are actually important for all kind of work in the future, right? If you're looking to do a startup, right, do your own company, you will need a lot of soft skills, right? How do you be adaptable to the changing circumstances, the challenges that you have? How do you manage your team? All of these require soft skills, right? And even if, say, finding your dream job, which I explained earlier as well, a lot of these jobs will start to become more intensive in terms of soft skills. And I think that's something that I would like to set the context or set the stage for, because I think a lot of people have the misconception, right, that it's just enough for me to be good in a certain area. I think with the kind of trend that we're seeing, it's very important that we continuously upskill ourselves and continuously find skills that keep us in the forefront compared to technology that that are there and things like that. Right. So one of the things that we also discovered is that a lot of young people, youth, right, are not very prepared for the future of work, right? So, in Singapore, about 7 in 10 feel unequipped for work, especially when they're actually applying for a job and they don't feel that the education system are preparing them well enough for the skill sets that they need, right? And I think that's really why we sort of introduced Skillio, which is a digital soft skills portfolio that basically empower young people to better articulate and showcase their soft skills competencies. And this is basically something that you can use in complements to your resume, in complements to your LinkedIn profile. All right, so enough about the product. Okay, I think today I wanted to dive a bit into a few of these topics, right? A myth about soft skills, intentionality about how you can develop your soft skills, whether you're in school or whether you're in the workplace. How can you take more a purposeful intention, right, to develop some of these skill sets? We will do a short hands-on session where you will basically create your own soft skills portfolio on a Google Sheet, which you can bring it back and actually use it on your own, and then I'll end it off with a summary and Q&A. All right. So I think some of the common myth about soft skills, right? So let's get everybody involved, right? So how many of you think that soft skills is nature? So you're born with, you're born a leader. Or how many of you think that soft skills can be nurtured, right? So if you think that soft skills can be nurtured, right, put a heart-shaped reaction, right? If you think that soft skills is something you're born with, put a thumbs up emotion, reaction. Okay, so many of you think that it's nurture. Great. A very wonderful crowd here. All right, so okay, but let me explain to you a bit about why, right? There is this debate, even, right? A lot of people, they feel that, leaders are born, right? Some people feel that, you can develop and, grow yourself into a better leader. And I think really is why is there such a division in views, right, about such about the nature of soft skills, right? And if you look at the definition, right, I think a lot of people have different definition of soft skills. If you look at the career website, you look at dictionaries, they basically say, oh, soft skills are non-technical skill sets. It's about how you relate to others at work. Like the one below, they say, oh, desirable qualities, for certain form of employments that do not depend on acquired knowledge, right? Indeed, right, they actually say that soft skills are personality traits and behaviors. And let me just share with you why now there is such a debate, right? Because this is actually an iceberg model of competencies. I think most of you should be quite new to this, right? But essentially, soft skills are actually across this entire spectrum, right? So for hard skills, right, you'll realize that hard skills are basically the first two levels, right? Knowledge and skill sets. So if you have the knowledge and you practice the skills, like maybe accounting, you practice the skill, or driving, you practice the skill, you have the knowledge, you are able to sort of acquire those hard skills, right? But for soft skills, it actually spans across this entire spectrum, right? Which is why, in the definition earlier, there's like, speaks of like, personality trait, right? There's also speaks about skill sets, right? So soft skills actually transverse across this entire iceberg. And some of it, if you can see on the left, right, those that are at the top of the iceberg are easier to change, right? So skill sets are easier to change. You can practice behaviors, practice skill sets until you become good. Personality traits are harder to change because sometimes you are born with it, right? Sometimes you have a certain, type of way that you work with other people, right? And all of these things get harder to change as you go down the iceberg, right? So that's why, there's actually this debate, right, about how soft skills are sometimes nature, sometimes nurture, right? Because a certain aspects of it are actually, a part of the personality trait. But some parts of it, because knowing your personality trait allows you to practice certain behaviors to either, improve, your blind spots, or, actually further improve your strengths, right? In this case, which is why, for leaders, if you know what kind of leader you are, you can actually improve in certain areas and actually cover your blind spots and things like that. All right, so that's the first myth that I want to sort of, debunk over here, right? So that the reason why, there's such a debate is because, of the kind of holistic kind of understanding of, soft skills, right? So my own belief, right, is that soft skills can be like nurtured, right? And like most of you here have talked about as well, it's definitely something that you can work on as well. Right. So myth number 2, right? Does having more soft skills means I'm better, right? Yes for thumbs up, no for hardship, right? So can we get everyone to just do a quick reaction? Do you think that having more soft skills means you're better? So thumbs up for yes, right? Hardship for no. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, no, right? Quite a number of people said no. Okay, Eddie said yes. Okay, interesting. Okay, let me just share a bit more about this, right? How everyone demonstrates soft skills, right, is actually very unique and context dependent, right? So let's say, right, let's say if I'm a leader in this particular community project I'm doing, right, versus I'm a leader in a workplace, right? The kind of leadership behaviors or qualities, right, that you exhibit is slightly different, right? So maybe in a work project, you have a certain deadline you have to meet, so you have to push everybody to get it done, right? But in a community project where it's voluntary run, right, you don't want to push everybody so hard such that you destroy the relationship with the people that you are working with. So in such a you can start to see them. They have two different contexts actually allow you to practice skill sets in a very different way, right? And that's why I believe, right, personally, that having more soft skills may not be better, right? But it is more important about practicing the right soft skills in the right context, right? So in the right place, in the kind of place or the context you're in, what kind of soft skills is important in that context. And if you can do that, you can identify the context and practice the right soft skills. A lot of time you'll be a much better person or much better leader or team player within your own organization or within your own kind of context. So for example, if let's say you are still a school student, right, in a project team versus, like you're going for an internship, right, the kind of skill sets that you will demonstrate is different. If you're in a workplace already, right, when you're working in a team versus you're volunteering outside, it's slightly different as well, right? So being mindful about the context is actually quite important over here. Right. So what does being good at soft skills mean, right? How do you know whether you are good at the soft skills, right? And I think the whole idea is that a lot of people think that, oh, there's good and bad soft skills, right? I think the whole idea is that there's no good or bad, right? It's really about strengths and blind spots. Because a lot of how we portray soft skills are informed by our own personality trait. And personality trait is something that, is sort of like a bit of a hardwired into how we're born, right? And so it doesn't mean that, if let's say, I speak very fast, right? Doesn't mean that I'm a poor communicator, right? It just means that this is something that is not something I'm very mindful about. But if I put in deliberate effort to practice, speaking slower, to practice, making sure I get my points across in a succinct way, I'm able to then improve on that blind spot, right? And some people, you are a very, maybe a visionary leader, right? You like to set goals for a team, right? And it doesn't mean that, if this is something that's your natural preference, right? You can no longer improve on it, right? So you can always, practice those behaviors again in a different context or a different kind of setting, right? So, really being aware about your own strengths and blind spots help you identify ways to improve that. So in the whole idea again here is that there's no good or bad soft skills, right? You can't suck at leadership or you can't suck at maybe being a team player. It really just means that some aspects of teamwork or some aspects of leadership is your blind spot, and being aware of them can help you then improve those areas. All right, so in summary, right, some of the myths, right, about soft skills are such, right? So soft skills can definitely be nurtured, right? That's something that I believe in as well. There's no good or bad soft skills. It's really more about your strengths and blind spots. And the last thing is that it's always about being the right soft skills in the right context, right? So that you don't really need to be good at every soft skills, right? Just know how to practice those skill sets in the right context. Okay, I see there's a question in the chat, right, from Hadam. How about some other extreme examples like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg who had really bad soft skills for those who were working with them? Are these desirable traits or no? If no, then how do you reconcile the success of their team to this form of leadership portrayed by these extreme leaders? Yeah, thanks for the great question, right? And you will realize that for Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs, right? Yeah, like what you said, they have very extreme way of working, right? If you read their biography, right, you realize that in a team context, right, they are a very goal-driven, and they will do whatever it takes to get them to where they are. And sometimes along the way, right, they maybe people are fearful of them and things like that. So I would say, right, that it's not really say bad soft skills, right? So for them, they're very good in maybe say being a very visionary person and seeing through to the end what kind of work that they want to get done, right? And in the process, that's their strength, right? But their blind spot could be maybe managing relationship in their team, right? And for them, right, because they are the boss of the company, right, or they are the leader of the company, they make a conscious effort not to actually work on them, right? Which is why they say that, okay, this is my culture of the company, right? My culture is the culture of my company is that, oh, I want people who are like this, right? Who can see the big goals, work towards it, right? And no questions asked, will get it done, right? So these are why companies have company culture and company values. And in those cases, that is where you start to realize that, certain culture or team culture can also be determined by the founders of the company. And if you don't sort of vibe well with the culture, a lot of times you realize that you won't fit in over there, right? You want to ask about what are the soft skills most needed to work? Oh, okay, there's a few questions. Yeah. So in a way, how do I reconcile the success, right, of the team is really that they found the right people who could work under that kind of context, right? So they found the right amount of people who can work in those kind of situation, in those kind of environment that the leaders have created. And that's how they actually sort of build a very successful company, right? And even though they have, some blind spots, right, that, are not very desirable by other people, right? They found the right mix of people who could, work under that kind of situation. So that's how, in my opinion, they actually sort of flew very well. Yeah, Jaslyn, I see your question. Let me see. What soft skills are most needed to work for others and to build your own business, in your opinion? How long and how can I develop these soft skills? Yeah, so very good question, right? I would say depending how you can actually determine what soft skills you need, right, to work for others, right? The first thing, right, is to go to the company website, right? Look for their company values, right? This is where, if you go to like Apple website, you go to any website, they will put down their corporate values. And in their corporate values, right, maybe Apple will be like, oh, challenge status quo, be bold or something like that. And if you break down all of those corporate values, right, in the end, those are a set of behaviors, a set of soft skills that they value in any employee in their company. So that's a quick hack I can actually get you to think about, right? And when you and that's the first thing. The second thing is you look at the JD, right, the job description of the company, right? And in the job description, a lot of times they will tell you, okay, these are the prerequisite skills that I want in my company or in this role, and they will also say, okay, these are the soft skills I would require. So once you take a look at the company values, take a look at the JD, right, you are then able to then understand a bit more about the soft skills that they're looking for. And then, of course, that in your interview process, in your writing your resume, you want to highlight those skill sets in the work that you have done. Yeah, and for building your own business, right, I think there is no fixed set of soft skills. I think there's a lot of times it's really dependent on your own business and the kind of business that you run. But some of the common soft skills, right, would be like things like, adaptability, right, being able to adapt to different changing circumstances, difficulties that come up in your business, being open-minded, right? Because a lot of times you will receive a lot of feedback from others, criticisms, and how do you overcome and deal with those things, right? So being open-minded actually helps. And of course, being last one, in my opinion, is like having good leadership, right? Being able to lead the team, because when you start your own business, you probably have a few people that you're working with, right? How do you guide them to see the bigger goal, the bigger vision that you have for the company? I think those are some qualities or soft skills which I believe that might be important, but it really, again, differs from business to business because of the context is slightly different. All right. Okay, how can you develop these soft skills? I will answer a bit later when you all try out the hands-on activity. Okay, Xian Wei. Okay, now we have some discussion about politics. Okay, our education is no value add and mentioned that our soft skills should match our job and our finance. Right. Okay, how will soft skills transfer their job in how soft skills match their work and job? How will soft skills transfer their job roles? Okay, so I think in general, I guess what your question is like, how do you see job soft skills being something that is used in the workplace, right? And honestly, soft skills are something that's transferable across different industry, right? So if let's say I'm a sales, let's say a sales development representative in a company, right? I'm doing sales. Right, the skill sets I have, the soft skills I have with regards to a sales position, right? Like being able to build rapport with a stranger within 5 minutes, being able to, close up with a deal, right? And maybe, provide customer service so that they can use the product, successfully. This same set of skill sets can be applied in another industry that maybe requires me to have, another similar set of soft skills. So imagine during the pandemic period, right, a lot of people that are air steward or air stewardess, they went to the healthcare industry or the early childhood industry, right? Because they sort of possess the same set of soft skills that of customer service, of strong, service to the customer and being able to relate well to customers, right? And this set of soft skills can be applied, in a healthcare setting when you're taking care of somebody, or in the early childhood setting when you're actually taking care of, young children, right? So that's why, people say soft skills are actually very helpful because it helps you to transfer and go across different industries, right? Because these are the skill sets that you realize are actually transferable across different job roles, different job functions. So it's really about then identifying those kind of areas where similar kind of soft skills can be practiced, and then you can see that direct mapping. Okay, wonderful. I love all the questions. Keep it coming. You can put it in the chat. But right now, let me get into the next part of the segment, right? And if there's any more questions, feel free to just pop it in the chat. Awesome. Okay, so I think all the questions and all I have just said lead up to this part, right? That you can actually intentionally develop your soft skills. And I think Jesslyn, just now you asked a brilliant question, right? How do you actually go about developing soft skills and how long does it take, right? So if we now know that soft skills, right, are inherently a set of behaviors, right, like that can be practiced over time, then it is actually very possible to be intentional about developing soft skills. If let's say I tell you, right, leadership, right, there are 10 behaviors, okay, for example, right, to being a visionary leader, okay, first behavior, set goals for a team. Second behavior, put your plans into action. Third behavior is to maybe get everybody to set a common goal, all right? So maybe now that you know these behaviors, you can then be more intentional about practicing those behaviors in your daily life. Whether is it in school, whether is it in the workplace, whether is it doing a project, or starting your own business. If you can be intentional about the behaviors that you have shown and link it to a certain soft skills, then you can practice those skills behaviors over time. And in the larger scheme of things, this allows you to improve your soft skills, right? But to answer Justin's question, right, how long does it take, right? There's no definite answer, right? The thing about soft skills, right, is that it takes time to practice. It takes time to develop. When I first started in school, right, I wasn't a public speaker. I go on stage, right, I will shake, my legs will start shaking, I will tremble, I will mumble my words. But because I was able to be aware that, let's say, for example, to be a good speaker, I need to maybe maintain eye contact, right? I need to slow down and pace my, my speech, right? All of these behaviors, I practice it, right, over the next few speeches or the next few kind of presentation that I do, right? And it slowly becomes something that is a habit to me, right? And right now, till today, I wouldn't say I'm the best speaker, but at least I know that I have improved so much from the days that when I was in secondary school. Right. So same thing over here. The idea here is that, you can be intentional about developing your soft skills. You just need to know how to do so. All right. So I think this is the part where I will get you to see how to do it. Right. It will be hands-on. You will be actually doing it on your own, right? Over a Google Sheet, which I'll share a little bit. I'll share now. Okay. Yeah. So you can actually go to this link, tinyurl.asean.com/ASEAN says. Let me put it in the chat. You can then you can actually duplicate the first template and actually put your name over there. All right. So we'll just run everybody through this short exercise to tell you how you can actually sort of be more mindful, right, about, developing your soft skills. Okay, the link is in the chat. Anybody who can't access or anything, let me know. But let me just check. Okay, you should see like a Google Sheet template. And then you just have to left click on the sheet below and just duplicate it, right? And put your name there, right? So that you can have something that is your own, right? And this sheet, I'll leave it open and you can actually access it after the session as well. Okay, I see all of you are on the Google Sheet. Great. All right. So maybe what you can help me do is to duplicate the sheet, right? Put your name there so that everybody can have their own one and it doesn't cross affect each other when you're typing in your own one. Okay, great. Yeah, I see somebody already creating their own sheet. That's great and wonderful. Okay, maybe I'll just give everybody 30 seconds to do so, right? And then I'll go into the first step, right, of doing so, of creating your own portfolio to track your own soft skills. Okay, I see duplicates. Yeah, do remember to name it, yeah, so that you don't confuse which one is yours. If you don't want to put your own name, you can put like maybe your IG account name or something like that. So at least the whole idea is so that you can actually identify which one is yours. Okay, great. I see most of you have already done so. So maybe I'll go to the next step. So if you're already on the Google Sheet, right? The first thing that you usually need to do is to basically determine a few soft skills and break it down into behaviors. As I was sharing earlier, right? Every soft skills are basically a set of behaviors that you can practice. And right now, I'm going to get you to find soft skills that you want to improve, right? And then break it down into behaviors. So let me give you an example. So over here, if you see my slides, I know you are doing the Google Sheets, right? But just take a moment and look at my slides. You will realize that how you can actually sort of break down soft skills, right, is to actually go and look for observable behaviors in the definition of every soft skills. I know this is not the most foolproof and research heavy way of doing so, but just for the sake of example, we will do so, right? For example, things like soft skills like empathy, like teamwork, leadership, all right? You can go online and then search for those definitions, search for certain theories, right? And then they will give you a certain set of behaviors that they're looking at. So for example, empathy, right? There will be some behaviors like, oh, being fully present with others, right? Listen non-judgmentally, asking questions instead of giving advice. So if for those that don't want to get you don't have time to find soft skills, you can actually use my example over here about empathy, right? You can actually put in those behaviors as the behaviors under empathy. All right. So I know we are a bit short on time, so maybe I'll just give everybody about 5 minutes, right, just to find one or two soft skills with the behaviors to actually put onto the Google Sheet. Okay. All right. So let me just play some music. Okay, I don't know if you can hear my music, but okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, so now everyone, just 5 minutes, right? A quick one. Figure out a soft skills that you want to work on, and then break it down to behaviors. Right? You can have about 2 or 3 behaviors. That's fine. Okay, I think I can share sound already. Okay, if you need any help, just let me know in the chat. Thanks. This is my music for workshops. Okay, confidence considered a soft skills. Yeah, you can actually call that a soft skills. But I think you want to put it more in context, right? So maybe like confidence in what, speaking? Is it confidence in maybe presenting, or confidence in maybe like your own self-identity and things like that? So you want to be a bit more specific. Okay, maybe I give you all about 3 more minutes, right? I know we are running short on time. Yeah, thanks. Inward confidence, outward confidence, Hadam, right? You can actually, no worries. What you can do, right? You can actually search online, right? You can look at what are some of the different ways people are actually describing confidence, right? And let's say, for example, outward confidence, right? Then you want to identify a set of behaviors that actually correspond with outward confidence. Is it like, oh, having a positive self-image, right? Feeling confident, or maybe it could be like, oh, being unafraid to speak up in an interview or speak up in a room, right? So those are the things that you want to find, right? Those are the kind of behaviors you want to find that tag to a certain soft skills, right? Because those are the behaviors that you can then practice and identify in your daily lives. Okay, if you still cannot find every soft skills, you can just use my example, the empathy one, and then in your own free time after this, you can actually go and do it on your own. Yeah, and you can duplicate the sheet and actually, keep it in your own Google Drive. That's fine as well. Yeah, great, Jaslyn. That's wonderful. Yeah. So leadership is a bit too broad, but I think as the behaviors are actually very good, so you can actually put it there as well. Wonderful, Jaslyn. Great one. You can actually put it in your portfolio. Okay, maybe one last minute. Okay, I know some of you are still working on it, but I have to move on. If not, I won't be able to finish. Okay, yeah. So if I can just get your attention back to the screen, right? If you don't have a soft skills right now, just use empathy, all right? And then, in your own time, you can actually put in your own one, all right? So the next thing I want you guys to do, right, is to basically think about a moment in this week, right? And reflect about how you have demonstrated those soft skills, right? So let's say, for example, empathy, right? I want you to think about a moment in this week, right, that you have actually sort of practiced empathy or practice the behaviors of empathy, all right? Or if let's say for Jaslyn case, you selected leadership, right? You have these 3 behaviors, right? Reflect about in this week, right? Where have you actually put the interest of others first? Where have you, considered different consequences that will occur, right? So think about it, right? Maybe I'll just give everybody about another 2 minutes, right, to do one reflection, just one, right, about this week in relation to the soft skills that they are looking at or you are looking at. Okay. So you want to detail the step, right, in which you practice this skill. So for example, in my team meeting, I was able to, articulate myself better or bring across my point such that other people understood me. All right. So take 2 minutes to think about it. All right. Okay, let me play my music again. Okay, 2 minutes, everybody, right? On the Google Sheet itself, you can actually just put on the Monday column or on the Tuesday column, whichever column that this particular reflection lies on, right? Under week 1, for example, you can say that, today I basically learned about something, right? Today I was able to do something. Okay, one last minute. I know this is a bit rushed. Okay, but I think I'll give you a little bit more time, just one more minute to get the reflection part done so you can see how the whole process worked out. Okay, if you're done with your reflection, maybe you can actually just give me a thumbs up. I can roughly know if you're done. If not, I will give you slightly more time. Okay, thanks, Hadam. Okay, maybe last 30 seconds for everybody. Thanks, Eddie. Okay, great. All right. So now that you have a reflection, right? One of the things I can say that you can also get feedback from other people, right? So let's say I'm working in a team, I can get a feedback from my team member about me, right? About this particular soft skills, right? So that you are not just self-perception in terms of what you're doing, right? But you also get other people to give you feedback, right? About what, how have you demonstrated those skill sets? Okay. So now that you have one reflection, okay, in your own free time, you can get a feedback or you can do more reflection, right? The step 3 is to basically compare and analyze, right? I think some of you, like Hadam, you already have went on to the next part, very, very good, right? Is to basically read through your reflection, right? Or read through the feedback that you have received, okay? And highlight the observable behavior in those texts itself, right? And basically map them to the behavioral breakdown that you have created, right? So for example, I was able to withhold my opinion so that I can understand what he has said fully, right? In this case, you can able to sort of map, like, withhold my opinions to listen non-judgmentally under empathy. I know right now, right, it might seem that, I'm just basically reflecting and then mapping it, but I already know what I'm reflecting about, right? So the reason you'll feel this way because right now you're creating the framework, you're creating the metrics, and then you're reflecting at the same time, right? But when you do this on a regular basis, right, you would have already set up and all the soft skills that you have, right? And then on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, you reflect about what you have done, and then you are able to sort of highlight the behaviors in red, and then sort of put it into the point system in the Google Sheet below. And then you will start to realize a few patterns, right? So for those who are actually have started to actually, map your behaviors, right? You can do so now, right? But once you start mapping your behavior, for example, in this case, right, withhold my opinion is the same as listen non-judgmentally. You can give yourself 1 point under the behavior itself, all right? So you can put it 1 point under that behavior, under that particular week, okay? And then you can actually tally up across all the different soft skills that you have in your metrics. Okay, so at the end of every week, right, once you sum up the metrics, right, you will start to see some pattern emerge, right, if you consistently reflect and seek feedback. This is something that we realize work very well. If you do it maybe over like at least 3 weeks, then you will start to see a pattern, right? You will realize that, some behaviors maybe have more points than others, right? Some behaviors maybe tend to show more in a certain context compared to another context. And you maybe realize that, why actually some behaviors have very little points, right? And all of this goes back to the very same thing I spoke about at the very start of the whole masterclass, right? That sometimes your behaviors that you do more are basically your strengths, are your natural preferences, the things that you do on a more natural basis, right? Some of the behaviors that are slightly lesser are things that are maybe your blind spots that you didn't realize that you didn't even practice them, or you didn't realize that actually other people see it in you, but you didn't practice it, right? And with such a matrix, you're then able to understand that, okay, if I want to be a better, person, right, in, empathy, right, maybe I have not been able to listen non-judgmentally enough. Then in the next week or in the next kind of interaction I have with somebody else, I want to then be able to practice this behavior. And once you practice it more and more, you will start to realize in your reflection, then you will start to sort of talk about it in the feedback that other people have given to you. They may also start to mention some of these things, and then you can start to see the trend start to change. And this is how you can actually then become more intentional and more strategic, right? In the kind of soft skills you want to develop and the kind of behaviors you want to practice, such that you can be more intentional about rebuilding up your soft skills. All right. And then basically, right now, I won't get you to do this because you don't have quite a number of reflections yet. But basically, looking at the metrics, you are then able to identify some behaviors, right, to intentionally practice in the next setting, right? So, if you look at your reflection right now, you probably only have one, so it's probably not so representative, right? But what are some strengths that you actually have, right? What are some blind spots, right, that you can actually start practicing in your next interaction with somebody else? Okay, so the whole cycle should look like that, right? So you first identify the soft skills and behaviors that you want to work on, right? And then break it down to behaviors, reflect and get feedback, right? Reflect about how you practice it, reflect about your daily life, how you have been doing it, get feedback from other people that have seen you or work with you, right? And then you compare and analyze what kind of behaviors have you been showing over the course of the week, over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, all right? And then you are then able to say that, okay, these are the things I want to practice. These are some of the things that I want to be more mindful about. And then you do the same reflection process again, and you go compare and analyze again, right? And then after a point, maybe after 1 month, you come back to look at a whole Google Sheet, then you'll start to realize that, oh, there are certain trends that you start to see that you can actually improve on and things like that. Okay, and actually that's the essence of what we do at Skillio and the portfolio that we built, right? So for Skillio, actually, you are able to sort of add your experiences. Basically, the whole process that you're actually going through right now are all automated on the Skillio portfolio platform, right? Where you basically can create different experiences. So in this case, maybe it could be working in your team, in your school project. It could be, in your work team, in your company, right? You're able to add different experiences on the platform, right? And we basically allow you to capture all your reflections and feedback over here, right? So you're able to capture your reflection directly into the experience. And the feedback, you can actually get feedback from your mentors, from your colleagues, right? Directly from the app itself as well, right? And basically the whole process of you guys doing the ones and zeros, the calculating, are actually done by our AI to sort of pick up soft skills itself and then map it out into the framework, into the dashboard that you see over here in this picture, right? So basically the whole process of what you're doing right now is actually on our Skillio portfolio app. And yeah, so, but I would like you guys to go through this process because I want you to see the thinking and the process behind it. Yeah, so that's all from me, right? Just wanted to do a quick summary, right? So about, the 3 Ms of soft skills, right, that everybody know, right? And being intentional about developing those skill sets when you're actually going through, your projects and things like that, all right? And then, you have also sort of took a step to create your own portfolio to try it out. And the last thing that I wanted to, share as well is that we have opened up the Skillio portfolio free of charge, right, to all students and also young working professionals. You can simply fill out this QR code. You'll be brought to a Google form, fill out your details, right? And you basically will have a link to the portfolio at the end of the form. Right now, it is currently on mobile only, right? Our the desktop version will come out in about 3-4 weeks time. Yeah, but yeah, that's all from me. Any questions from anybody? Is there a team-based Skillio where people can see and contribute to another's profile? Right now, there's no team-based one yet. But right now, you can actually get feedback from other people on the platform directly. So meaning that if, let's say, I want to get feedback from Charles, I can actually just put in Charles' email address, and then from Skillio's end, it will send a sort of feedback request to Charles, and Charles will basically fill up the feedback for you on his email address, and then you will basically get the feedback on your portfolio. And all of that feedback will also be used to generate the soft skills insights for yourself. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah. If anybody want to connect, you can actually just connect with me on LinkedIn or drop me an email. Yeah, happy to have a chat. Yeah, hand it back to you, Charles.
Okay, thanks, Felix. Thanks for sharing and also conducting this session with our participants. I hope that you guys have actually gained something. Especially, I think there were some of the hands-on exercise. I hope that you actually sort of like discover what are some of the soft skills that you possess or what are important for you guys. So of course, if you would like to continue or if you'd like to sort of like contact Philip or further that, feel free to contact him. Let me do a quick share screen so that you guys can actually leave a feedback for him. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's the end of the session. Thanks everyone for attending the session again. Thanks for spending your Friday evening with us. So if you could do us a favor, do scan the QR code for our feedback form, and we would actually really appreciate to hear your feedback for our sessions. Okay, thank you everyone, and have a great Friday. Stay safe. We have got one more in the room. Hi, Xian Wei. So we are at the end of the session. See you around. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so it's only us. That's true.
So I think, is it still recording? I see that it's
okay, hang on. Let me see if I can stop the recording. Okay, nice. Okay, thanks Felix for coming on board to do this. I was looking at the conversation, the chat, it looks like they were actually pretty engaged. They were like sort of asking you a lot of different things.
yeah, that's great.
Right. How do you find the session?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think it's great that they are engaged. I think that's the whole point of it as well.
Right.
Yeah, didn't want this to be a lecture so
right. I think personally I also feel that it's good. I mean, it didn't feel like a lecture to me, so I guess maybe they'll feel the same. Yeah, I think it was a bit disappointing that the numbers was a bit low. I think for both our session it was supposed to be 37 and 36, but I guess it could be because it's Friday, so people are like maybe their plans changed
Sure,
yeah.
no problem.
Yeah, but I think okay, it's still a good number. And anyway, the session was actually live streamed on the AYO's Facebook page as well. So hopefully you can get some good numbers from there as well.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay, other than that, I think that's all. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, all right. Have a great weekend.
Tomorrow you're coming down, is it?
Yes.
See you. I'm coming down as well.
Okay. All right. See you guys tomorrow.
Have a good Friday.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.